Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for this roundtable review of Mastodon's new record, Emperor of Sand. I'm Landon, the editor-in-chief of Djents, and I'm from Western Canada.
Hey guys, Dominic here, editor for Djents. I'm from Western Germany.
Yo, I'm Rodney. I'm a writer and social media assistant from Djents, and I'm also from Western Germany.
And I'm Inter. I'm a press and social media manager for Djents, and I'm from East Germany. And hopefully, nobody will notice that this is our third try.
All right, so I was thinking that we could start by introducing our first experiences with Mastodon. So, Inter, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So my first experience with Mastodon is 11 years ago. I saw them opening for Tool in Germany, and I think it was around 2006. Blood Mountain came out. Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure.
Sometime.
Yeah,
Like
it was
that.
around this time. I didn't know Mastodon before. I was really excited for Tool, and like they really caught me. They really sold their music to me with their amazing live performance, their charisma. It was an amazing show, and I'm a huge fan of Mastodon since then. Crack the Sky is one of my favorite records of all time. And yeah, I'm a longtime Mastodon fan, and I was beyond stoked for Emperor of Sand.
Rodney?
I have to admit that I am not actually like some kind of fan of Mastodon, as I never kind of got into them. I knew some people around me were like big fans of them, but I never really got into their music, so I just listened to some sporadic songs from time up till time. And then they released the first single of Emperor of Sand, and I was like, okay, let's give them a proper try. Like listening to the song, and I kind of liked it. And I listened to the other singles, and I really got into it, and I was pretty stoked for the record to come out, as I was hoping that this one would actually catch me and get me into Mastodon. So I'm kind of a newbie to them.
Dominic?
Well, my experience with Mastodon started around the time Crack the Sky was coming out, when they released Oblivion as the promotional single for it, along with the video, and it just completely caught me off guard. It was unlike everything I ever heard. I I wasn't aware of sludge metal or progressive metal at the time, and it really got me into this whole deal of new music. And Crack the Sky remains one of my top 5 favorite records of all time. I'm a big fan of Mastodon, and I was really looking forward to this new release.
For me, I think Mastodon came onto my radar around the time that Blood Mountain came out, but at that point I was not listening to metal really. So when Crack the Sky first started, like the promotional release with Oblivion, yeah, that really caught my attention. I think the only prog metal or anything close to prog metal I'd ever heard before that was Dream Theater. So this was just a completely new thing for me, and I was really excited by it. And hearing everything from like really long songs to like banjo to the mix of three vocalists was just absolutely captivating to me, and I love the concept album component of it. Yeah, I've been a fan since then. Kind of started to fall off a little bit after The Hunter, but hearing the singles for this one definitely caught my attention. Yeah, so Inter, what were your initial thoughts on the record?
We I think we spent like 2 weeks with it so far, and yeah, my first experience with Emperor of Sand were the singles when the singles came out, and I was really stoked because the singles. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of The Hunter or Once More Around the Sun. I mean, they are pretty decent records, but really into this conceptual thing Mastodon is doing for so long. For especially their whole conceptual things about elements, what they do with Blood Mountain and Remission and Crack the Sky and stuff like that. And it was really nice because the singles felt like they took the best of both sides, like their whole conceptual feeling, as well as like cool and earwicky kind of songs which can stand on its own. And yeah, I think my first listening through the record was a joyride. It was amazing, and because they managed to take this like whole psychedelic, rushy King Crimson, Pink Floydish vibe they had on Crack the Sky, but they also added this clutch, chaos kind of desert stoner rock vibe, and like also like a Monster Magnet hard rock vibe, and it's also like Neurosis sludgy kind of thing, and it's like they are accumulating everything what's great about Mastodon and putting it into Emperor of Sand, which tend to be sometimes a little bit overloading with elements and with different stuff. But overall, it was like a really cool experience to listen to it, and it was also a really cool experience to get deeper into it, like understanding the concept. And yeah, it was great so far. My first experience and my first listening session was amazing. Next one, please.
What about you, Rodney?
Okay, it's basically I was pretty stoked for it, as I really liked that all the three singles that was released so far were pretty diverse. We had this more pop influence, catchy one with, I think it was Show Yourself,
Yeah.
and the more sludgy one, Sultan's Curse, and then Andromeda came out, and Andromeda had this more progressive feeling,
Yeah.
and I was like totally into it. That those three songs were so diverse, and I was so stoked to hear this in the full concept of the record. And when I first listened to it, I was like, oh man, it's not that those singles are the best song out of the record. They are just the singles. And there are even better tracks on it, which is something I really appreciate, as sometimes the singles that the bands choose are kind of the best tracks, which is not the fact of Mastodon's new record, in my opinion. And so it was just like an awesome experience to listen to this record and to find details and to just like let it go in yourself. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think
That's
just
cool.
to throw something in, because I will forget it when the other jumps in. I think that's something amazing with Mastodon, that you can't say that there are this one standout track on the record, and everybody felt that way, that this is this one standout track. Like everybody has his own preference with the tracks on the record. As far as I
Yeah.
experienced it with talking to people who already listened to it, that's something really amazing. I guess when we come to our favorite songs of the record, we will see that we have maybe all different choices and something like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
What were your thoughts,
So,
Dominic?
yeah, when we're talking about the first experience, I completely agree with the other two guys that the singles really reeled me in, because they were really diverse, like Rodney said, and they really showed the different sides to Mastodon that were there, the catchy stuff, the heavy stuff, and the more melodic, in kind of middle of the road thing. But the first time I listened to the record in whole was actually late at night when Inter sent it to me. And well, the first impression I had, I was kind of glad that Brent Hines got a little bit more vocal spotlight again,
Yeah.
because it was his voice that really got me into Mastodon, and he really has this big kind of lead vocalist moments on some songs, and it really made me happy because I fucking love his voice, and Yeah, but the overall experience was really good. The songs flow well into each other, despite how different they are at sometimes to each other. And the singles don't represent the whole of the record in just one song. You need the 3 songs to really see what this record is about. And there's still
Yeah.
more to experience
Yeah,
than
absolutely.
those 3 songs have to offer. There's so much to discover in this, which makes it really reminiscent of Crack the Sky in a way,
Yeah.
because the last 2 records really lack this sense of wonder, of exploration and discovery, and so on. And I think working with Brendan O'Brien again really helped them rediscover this spark they had on Crack the Sky.
Yeah.
So yeah, for a first experience, the record was pretty dope, have to say it.
Absolutely. For me, I'd only actually listened to, I think, Sultan's Curse before I got to hear the whole record. And I was definitely interested. And then Inter sent the record to me on my birthday, and may have been the best present I received that day. So, yeah, listening to it, it blew me away. Honestly, I remember messaging you guys being like, "This is a masterpiece." I mean, it's been definitely like through more listens, I've definitely thought a lot more about it over time. But I agree with Dominic's point about being with Brendan O'Brien again. Definitely brings, I think it brings out the best in the band.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you have to say about Brent, because for me, hearing Brand sing more on this record was really awesome for me. I really enjoy his voice.
Sure.
But I mean, I think, but what's always been a strength of the band is that they have 3 different vocalists, and none of them do the same thing. So I really like that. I mean, it's like having like the Beatles or something, but in a prog metal context, which is pretty incredible. Yeah, so I was blown away initially, and then over time I've started to think about it more and have some more complex things to say. But that first listen was, it was unreal. So I guess building from that, I think maybe what was your favorite song or favorite songs on the record?
I have to pick 2 like favorite songs. First one is Storm Breather.
Okay.
Because the chorus of Storm Breather is maybe one of the best things. It's Steam Breather, sorry, exactly. The chorus of Steam Breather is maybe one of the best things they ever written vocally. Like the vocal line on Steam Breather is on the chorus. It's absolutely magnificent, and it's like one of the less proggy, more straightforward songs, because it's like heavily on this chorus thing, and it's like really around this really amazing chorus part. And I think my second favorite track, which is like equally to Steam Breather, is Jaguar God, the last song on the record, because I think based on the feeling it gives me, it's the closest to their Crack the Sky days, because it's the closest to their, what Dominic also mentioned, the sparkling, dreamy, like it's this psychedelic deserty rock thing. And I really love the moments when Mastodon like slow down and when they are a little bit quieter, and it's not like this steam hammer of riffings, and when it's a little bit more like these reverb acoustic sounds. And I think it's the perfect close up for the record, because it's amazingly dreamy, and compared to this whole experience through Emperor of Sand, like it starts really pushing forward and straightforward songs, and like I think the first 2 songs are Sultan's Curse and Show Yourself, like really forward, and then it has this dreamy but also like bursting with this amazing solo. And it's the pacing through the record is simply amazing. Like it takes your hand, and you're going through a journey with them, and it's like Mastodon can create amazing soundscapes, and I think they are the most standout tracks for me are those two.
What about you, Rodney?
It's kind of funny because of obviously I don't know, Steam Breather like directly caught my attention when hitting in with the chorus. I was like listening to it the first time and starting with Sultan's Curse and Show Yourself. It was like, okay, I already knew these tracks. I already listened to them a lot of time. And then the next one was like kind of flowing, and then until Steam Breather hit in. And when the chorus came out, I was totally like digging it. It totally got my attention. I was instantly having like an earwig, and I was overwhelmed by this catchiness within that chorus. So actually, this is also my favorite part of the record. And if I would think about a second one, it would be Andromeda for me, because it has this kind of feeling. And when the single came out, it was like my favorite one of the three singles, and I was pretty stoked because it sounded more like this slightly progressive sounding sludge metal, and it totally blew me away. So this would be my two picks. And of the on the other side, it doesn't mean that the other songs are like bad.
Yeah,
They're all
sure.
pretty
Of course
awesome.
not.
Yeah.
But those two songs really got my attention, and they really grabbed on me, and still do.
What about you, Dominic?
Well, I can keep it a little bit shorter than these two because I have one definite favorite song on this, and it comes a little bit later than Steam Breather, because my favorite song on Emperor of Sand is Ancient Kingdom, and I'm also talking about the huge chorus. The chorus is just immense and epic, and I love that stuff about metal because it the song itself starts like a normal more straightforward Mastodon song, but then we get this huge chorus with these amazing epic bells punctuating the different lines Troy sings, and it's just like he sings this ancient kingdom still remains dong, and I'm just goosebumps all over. It's actually, it could be one of my favorite choruses Mastodon have ever written. So it is a real standout moment, this chorus.
Yeah.
You can maybe get it from my facial expression that I smile like an idiot.
Man, at the end, it's all about the tambourine, man. It's all about the tambourine.
It is.
It's like
It is.
one of the coolest elements on the record is this overall every time present tambourine. Just
Yeah, like
absolutely
who does
amazing.
that on a metal record?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, it was like it was too apparent at parts. It was like every song had the tambourine.
You're just wrong. Like, it's just wrong.
It's like, of course, tambourine always adds like catchiness to a song and to a chorus. You're seeing this in a lot of metal bands, and even like bands like Ancient Fresco are using tambourine over all of their choruses. But it's just like, I don't know, it was kind of too obvious at parts for myself.
Maybe we can come back to this when we can talk about the sound of the record. But I want to hear Landon's picks first.
It's actually really funny. I thought I was going to be super original, but Ancient Kingdom, absolutely. And that, like, I remember listening to it. I was driving to the airport, which is like a 40-minute drive from where I live, and that song just came on, and like I watched a bunch of the making of videos for the record and hearing about the concept and everything, and just when that chorus came in, it was just so emotional. And like, I mean, a lot of metal doesn't connect to me in that way. Like, I'll appreciate the technicality or like the complexity or the message, but like on an emotional level, a lot of metal doesn't speak to me that way. But when the chorus for Ancient Kingdom came on, I was floored. Like it like, and like not just like the bells, even though the bells are epic, but that like that recurring lead line in the chorus for the guitar, and the way everyone's voices work together. Yeah, it was really amazing. And I mean, not to say that the other songs are bad by any means, but that one just like blew me away. So now that we talked about all the parts that we liked, maybe let's talk about the parts that we didn't like. So Inter, you're up.
Hey everyone. My computer froze, so we're just going to pick up from before that technical difficulty. Inter is going to tell us about his criticisms of the record.
Yeah. There's only one major criticism I have about Crack the Sky, and it has its length. It has some parts and songs who feel like not really fillers, but not stepping up to the quality of some other songs. Especially for me, it's the whole bunch of songs between Ancient Kingdom and Jaguar God, the last song. It doesn't mean there are bad songs between, but it's maybe the weakest point on the record for me. Yeah, that's solid. It's nitpicky, but that's solid.
Yeah.
I think it's basically the same over here with me. I mean, starting with 2 singles and then like having a song on the 4th place like Steam Breather is. This like 3rd track, Precious Stones, kind of like feels like a filler that is good for the record as an entirety and flows into it, but out of concept it's kind of not on that hit level as some other songs are, which doesn't mean that they need to be hit songs like all the time. But that's basically the most criticism I can like offer on this record, as it is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, while I have to disagree there on the point which you made with Precious Stones, because I really enjoy that song, and I don't see it as a slump of quality between the singles and Steam Breather. I have to say that some of the shorter songs were a little bit disappointing, placed between the longer songs, which cover a lot of ground, which have a lot of diversity within them. And so these shorter, more straightforward songs just leave me wanting a little bit more exploration, a little more elements strewn into them. But like Inter said, it's nitpicking.
Yeah.
There's nothing really great to complain about.
I probably have the nitpickiest complaint of all.
Okay.
Generally, yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, I personally like the mix of like short and long songs, and the more like accessible ones and the more proggy ones. I like that. But for me, so like on Sultan's Curse and on Andromeda, those are the main ones. But I think even on Jaguar God, it starts with this really loud signal, whether it's the bell or the opening guitar riff, and then it just loses a lot of volume as soon as the rest of the band comes in. And for me, I want to hear something that like, and I tried this on a couple different speakers and stuff, and that was my observation. So it starts and you're like, oh yeah, it grabs your ear, and then it gets quieter, and that kind of just took away a little bit of the momentum. But like once you get into the song again, like after you get over that little jarring bit, it's great.
Yeah.
It's super nitpicky.
Yeah, I understand it. I mean, it's
yeah.
I think it leads perfectly to something I really want to talk about. Besides the concept,
Okay.
and that is the sound, like the producing of the record, which is like every Mastodon record so spot on, like so damn spot on. Like if you watch the making of episodes, and they're all showing like how Bran recorded his drum set, and he explained that he want like a vintage sound, but like with a modern, clear production, and that's something that shines through the whole record. The drums sound so damn organic, and it's like rich and warm, but it's not fuzzy. It's really clear, and you can hear all the details. And like on every Mastodon record, Bran has this kind of like jazzy, prog rocky kind of drumming style, and it really fits perfectly with his way of playing drums. And the rest of the record is like you can hear that these guys have like a huge amount of guitars, and that they are choose like the perfect guitar for the perfect moment. And it's like there is a moment that requires a Gibson, yeah, and they like playing a Les Paul. And then there is the next moment where it's maybe you need the sound of a Telecaster, and they are like using a Telecaster. And there is the next one there you try they're needing a hollow body, and they're using a hollow body guitar. And this whole thing of like having every time the perfect sound for the perfect moment is just freaking amazing. And the mix, besides the like volume problems from time to time, is also amazing. Like it's so close together, but not muddy. It's clear, and you can hear all the elements. And it's like I'm kind of a little bit a sound nerd, and I'm really into these kind of elements. But like I'm sick of hearing these typical overly produced modern metal sounds. Like we had this wave of XFX sounding records since some years, and sometimes I mean it can fit, but sometimes there is missing something. And Mastodon is always like this band which delivers this timeless sound of clear modern production, but also like vintage and like old schooly recording processes, and it's amazing. I really like this absolutely Mastodon sound fanboy.
Basically, it is what Inter said before. I loved how Sultan's Curse has this like dirty, sludgy guitar sound, but also like that organic feeling in all of the instruments and also in the vocals. It doesn't feel overproduced. It feels like produced very on a high level. Like every song has its own unique sound, and it totally works out on the music that Mastodon played, and I really enjoy listening to it.
Yeah, well, I think what these two say really kind of plays into what I said earlier. There's so many little details to discover on this thing, and I don't think another sound would have done it justice. You need this warm kind of organic sound, but also the clarity it brings to really see these little details flourish, or they would have just gotten buried under layers and layers of mix production and stuff. I wouldn't complain about anything on the production wise, because it just fits the record and the band perfectly. I think they've done a really good job on this.
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree. I think this is the first record where they've really mastered having like keys or organs or the other like keyboard kind of instruments on there, and it really adds a lot to the diversity of the sound of the record. I love the way they incorporate acoustic guitar, because it's not like they're trying to be pretty.
Yeah.
It just like adds another element.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it, and I agree with you. Like without aside from my complaints about the volume at certain points, I think the mix is incredible, and Mastodon doesn't try to follow a trend. You know, it's not like, oh, people are having this really pristine sound now, I guess that's what we got to do. No, it's like it's the Mastodon sound. So I thought we could move to just our closing thoughts and wrap it up. So I don't know if Inter, if you have any last thoughts on the record.
Yeah, something we didn't tackle before, but I just want to give it a quick shootout, is the overall concept of the record. Like, I don't know if you know it, but it's heavily about that all of the members are dealing with like problems caused by cancer. Like they lost like family members and friends of cancer, and it's if you have the concept of the previous record of the conceptual records, like Without the Hunter and Once More Around the Sun, they had this like little bit more like fictional science fiction kind of stuff, and now it's I really love the balance between it's really personal, like you can, especially if you know it, it's really personal, but it's also like great storytelling. Like it's also you can also view the whole lyrics from another perspective. It's also can be like a little bit, I don't know, like a fantasy, psychedelic, dreamy experience, and like having these two views on the lyrics and the themes, uh, which fits so perfectly with the composing of the whole record. Like it's so cool that they managed to having so much fun while getting really deep and personal and emotional, and it's never like melancholic or it's never sad. It's just like their way to deal with things is like to get into the studio or the rehearsal room and having fun and writing music and songs which are like having their foots in both worlds, or having their feet in both worlds, like being super duper personal and emotional and being super duper fun. And these two things are absolutely amazing because so many bands who do conceptual records are are tend to be a little bit one dimensional, like being overly epic or being overly sad or being overly like, for example, I really love the Deer Hunter, but they tend to be like overly circus-esque, so like overly like a play, like a theatrical stuff. And I think the diversity in which Mastodon handles their concept is simply amazing, and it's basically my favorite thing about Emperor of Sand. The symbiosis between the joy of playing and fun and writing cool and catchy tunes while being so much into deep emotional topics. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard this mixture of personal problems and putting it into a more sci-fi setting executed better than, since Coheed and Cambria's Good Apollo 1 came out.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
on that level we can really compare those two
Yeah.
records. And yeah, as Inter said, this record is really one to experience from different angles, and I really encourage anyone who can get their hands on this to really dig into what Mastodon have presented for us, both musically,
Yeah.
lyrically, and conceptually, because it's just worth it.
Yeah.
So basically, as I was no kind of fan of Mastodon, Emperor of Sand really got me into them. I'm now interested in like digging through the whole discography and like checking out more of their music, as it now really got my attention. And I really love the diversity. I love the sound, and I love the catchiness. I love the proggy parts and everything about it. It's just like I'm pretty sure that this record is going to end up in my album of the year lists, and I'm saying this in March. So basically, if you never really got into Mastodon, this record will change it as it did for me.
For me, I think, yeah, this is my favorite Mastodon record.
What?
It's yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's their most mature and cohesive album. I think it where I mean, don't get me wrong, Crack the Sky is amazing, but like for me, it's accessible. It keeps you interested the entire way through. There's parts you want to sing along to, parts that you get emotional about, parts that are just like heavy. It covers so much ground, but always sounds focused. And I think the band has really grown in their songwriting skill and ability to create melodic hooks and layers over the past two records since Crack the Sky, and I think they brought that maturity into like a similar vibe that Crack the Sky had, but with a more emotional and personal tone. And yeah, it's I'm pretty confident. Like I think this is the progressive metal record that I've been most excited about in quite a while. I'm not exactly sure how long, but definitely a long time. And I'm pretty confident it will also be on my album of the year list at the end of December.
So, pretty much the conclusion is that we all kind of like it so far. I mean, it was kind of a struggle to find flaws. It was hard. There are flaws for me, and there are flaws for every one of us. And it's not my favorite Mastodon record, but it's maybe my second favorite Mastodon record. So, pretty great job.
I could go as far as putting it on place number 2, because Crack the Sky will forever be number 1.
Yeah.
And I just like Leviathan a little bit more. A little bit. It's not a lot, but I think Leviathan is still a little bit better than Emperor of Sand.
But
that doesn't mean it's bad, but yeah, basically that's it.
I mean, like
at the end, it's not a competition.
When you have such a rich and like powerful discography overall, it's hard to choose.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm definitely not putting down the other records. It's just like for where I'm at as a listener and fan of progressive metal right now. That's my feeling.
Cool.
Okay.
So just the record drops March 31, I guess. And get your hands on it. Don't be a fool. Yeah, buy it and love it, like we do. Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for sitting through this roundtable review. And if you think we should do more, let us know in the comments.